Today in history in 1776, nothing of note occurred, especially not the founding of a dogshit country.
Welcome to What the Fuck History, where we discuss the wackiest and weirdest things that make us say, well, what the fuck history. I am once again your surly Captain Zachary, and we don't tolerate any shenanigans here on the high seas. Just kidding, it's all we tolerate, so you better start laughing.
My name is Meghan, and today in my story, we will be turning to a country that has embraced the nega version of democracy, communism.
And I'm Matt. Today I learned that brown bears in Russia stalk helicopters because they like getting high off the gasoline fumes.
Fuck
that's
yeah,
cute.
me too. It's like Cocaine Bear.
It's a little bit like Cocaine Bear.
Like Cocaine Bear, but a lot more like mellow and a lot less
Except
jumpy.
a little bit more Chernobyl-y.
Yeah.
There was a day when one of my coworkers told me that her parents go on a yearly pilgrimage,
To Chernobyl?
up to Canada. No, to Canada. To go bear hunting.
Fuck yeah, baby.
Oh.
And they, like, pull a permit, and only so many people get permits per year, and you can only kill one bear.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're, like, big-ass bears, and, like, you're out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, what if something happens? And she's like, I don't know, you wait for the helicopter that comes by every few days that checks up on you.
The bear just gets you.
I want to do this.
I was
I want
like,
to do this
what?
so
No.
bad.
Zach wants to wrestle a bear with his bare hands.
Are you kidding me? I was going to say, you told me I could go hunt a bear. I'm bringing only a Bowie knife. Like, I'm gonna...
You can. Also, you can pay money to go hunt the Russian bears as well. Like, they'll bring you out in the middle of Russia and, like...
on gasoline fumes?
Maybe. I mean, who's to say? They're not drug testing the bears that you're hunting,
fair.
so...
Here's the thing. If I do this, and I come back, and I succeed, I'm wearing that pelt for all eternity.
Oh, yeah, 1,000%. Like, what the other thing that will happen, too, is, like, you kill the bear, and I think part of, like, the, like, hunting experience is, like, they package up all the usable parts.
Hell yeah, as they
for
should.
you. Yeah, so, like, you get the meat, you get, like, the bones, obviously the pelt, like...
Dope.
It is you use everything.
Good. I was gonna say I have no problem with hunting as long as you use everything. Like, I am strictly against hunting for sport. If you use everything, fuck yeah.
Unless it's Republicans.
Well, that's not sport. That's just fun.
All right, on that
Plus,
controversial
most of them are.
take,
Okay.
we're just going to dive in.
Not controversial. It's not controversial.
Glaze over that.
We set our strikes to 0, and we faked playing a game of rock, paper, scissors, and we came up with the arbitrary order of Meghan, followed by me, followed by Zach.
Yes. So,
Let's get into it.
I'm guessing you would like to know
The title?
the name of
absolutely.
Hell yeah.
the title, if you will. This one's called Vietnam's Big Tiddy Joan of Arc.
I don't know how to react to that.
I love it.
I feel like I should have a reaction to it, but I think I just got hit by the big titties.
Yeah, I mean, her enemies did too, so...
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. Okay. So, I will start. Man, or should I say woman, because Vietnam is apparently a treasure trove of hot warrior ladies ready to fuck stuff up, is where we are landing today.
All right.
I am going to now take you back to the 3rd century in Vietnam, when it was a Chinese vassal state ruled by the Eastern Wu dynasty. Woo. So we're talking about like 220 to 250 AD.
Okay.
So around 248, AD, the Vietnamese people of the Jiaozhou province were like, fuck this noise being controlled by the Chinese, and decided to rebel.
Hell yeah.
As you do. And they were led by a local woman named Tru Ao. And I am doing my best with the romanization of Vietnamese. I did not study Vietnamese.
Look, you do better than either of us would do, so fucking go for it, Meghan.
I don't know about that, man, because it's hard. But I appreciate it.
You have our confidence.
So her name...
Yes.
I need someone's confidence because I don't have mine.
As blind as it may be, you have our confidence.
What? Why don't we do this really quick? Well, because I feel like I looked. So her name is spelled like Trieu. So Trieu.
She's gonna look up how to pronounce it.
Yeah, pronunciation.
Live
really quick,
on this
just so
podcast.
like how to pronounce. Here it is. It's gonna be like I'm gonna play an ad.
Finally.
Yep, there it is.
Okay.
Pronunciation is brought to you by
Yep.
pronouncenames.com.
Pronouncenames.com. Do it. True. I was right.
True.
True.
Okay.
Okay, so we're just going to refer to as Lady True. So it was recorded that in the year 248, a woman named Lady True, who was recorded as being an orphan since she was a young child. She had been living with her brother and his wife for most of her life, but her sister-in-law was apparently really cruel to her, so True killed her sister-in-law and then went to a mountain.
Nice.
So what Cinderella should have done. Fuck yeah.
Was that?
What was
I
that?
have no fucking clue what just happened.
I don't
If
know.
I die, just know that it's not what I meant to have happen.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, she kills her sister-in-law, fucks off to a mountain. Because the law can't catch you on a mountain. Those are the rules. I don't make them. The law doesn't like cardio.
Yeah, hell no.
So
Neither do I.
listen, I've seen a lot of fat cops in my life. The law doesn't like cardio. So she was described as being strong, brave, and a smart person, and she also had 3-foot-long boobs and fought on an elephant in battle.
That's a whole lot to take in, I'll be honest.
Yes. It is. Mostly a lot of boob
It is a ton
to
of
take
boob.
in.
Yeah.
Her titties were never going to be calm.
Yeah, never.
But there was the footage was too
Could
much.
anyone...
So-
okay, so here's the thing. I know
Yeah.
that,
Yes.
too much of a good thing... Is that... We could classify that as too much boob, right?
How dare you say something so fucking blasphemous, Matthew?
So... But Zach, here's the
much
thing.
boob.
It is half the height of, it's more than half the height of a regular person.
How
boob?
dare
Of
you say
in boob.
something so blasphemous, Matthew?
I just,
Look, I'm just saying what everyone is thinking.
I just, really don't think that... I think you're right. I think it is too much of a good thing. But let's go on with the story and
Look,
let's see if her boobs...
Here's what I'm gonna have to say. Some people are mountain climbers, some people are not, and that's okay.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. You're saying some people are boob men, and some people are 3-foot-long boob men.
I guess so.
I feel is what you're getting at. There's never not a boob man, but there are limits.
Yes,
To
absolutely.
the boob men. Okay. So she has 3-foot-long boobs, and she fights on an elephant. It was reported in traditional accounts that she tied them behind her back during fights. And it is in this description that makes me certain that, a man wrote this, because read that, I literally looked down at my boobs and I was like, no. That's not a thing.
That's not a thing. First off, that's not a thing.
Happens.
Second off, why wouldn't you use them as bludgeoning weapons?
That's what I'm saying. Women are smart. She would have definitely just like titty cycloned.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a helicopter off
Learn
of her
ballet
elephant.
and become undefeatable.
Literally undefeatable, though. But I don't know. The men were just like, she would be too powerful if we kept them free, so she tied them behind her back. So during her time on the mountain, because remember, she has committed murder at this point and has run away to a mountain, she then gathers up a band of 1,000 followers for her rebellion against the Chinese.
Hell yeah.
Her brother tries to convince her not to rebel, because I guess they were still on speaking terms after she straight up murdered his wife.
I guess. That's an odd thing to be, though.
The wife wasn't a blood relative, you know? Her brother was.
That's true, yeah. He was like, my sister.
In Christ.
I know that you've... My sister in blood and in Christ. I know that, like, you've killed my wife, but I implore you not to fight against the Chinese. Obviously, she didn't listen.
Good.
She said, and I quote, "Brother, I only want to ride the wind and walk the waves, slay the big whales of the eastern sea, clean up the frontiers, and save the people from drowning. Why should I imitate others, bow my head, stoop over, and be a slave? Why resign myself to menial housework?"
Wow.
Bruh, I'm ready to go fight the ancient Chinese now myself.
I'm pretty sure that she couldn't do
like,
menial housework anyways because she had 3 feet worth of boob.
I would follow her and
true.
her 3 feet tits into battle any day of the week.
All right.
She wants to kill whales, dude. Much like the whales in the Mediterranean right now want to kill boats.
Are we talking... Was she being serious about the whale killing, or was she like...
I think the whale is China.
I think the whale is
metaphorical?
China.
It's a
I think it's like a metaphor.
Moby Dick.
Yeah. Because she's like, well, I want to do things that, like, women haven't done before, but also I'm here to slay the thing that is, like, intimidating us, right? Like, the thing that people say that we can't kill.
Yeah.
Anyway, preach, queen. So off into battle she went against the cruelty of the Chinese overlords. So usually she wore yellow tunics as she rode on her war elephant, earning her the name the Lady General clad in the golden robe.
Bro, that's too much of a fucking mouthful.
What you want? Big titty Joan of Arc?
Yeah,
Joan of Arc
I
wasn't
do.
born yet.
Look, here's the thing.
She wasn't born yet.
With big titty come big titles.
That's true. With big titty come big title and big responsibility. Big responsibility.
That's what Uncle Ben would have also said.
Yeah, that is what Uncle Ben, venerable Uncle Ben, would have wanted. But also, like, the Lady General clad in the golden robe is like a very... You see these long, cumbersome titles a lot in China.
Okay.
Where it's like, oh, she is the Empress of 10,000 Li, the compassionate one clad in damask. Like, you see these a lot, and I think they roll off the tongue a lot better when it's not in English.
Okay.
So, I think my title is a lot better, which is, like, Big Titty Lady on an Elephant, but, like, they were less crass than I am. So for 5 to 6 months, she managed to fight the Chinese forces and hold them back, but only because she was essentially fighting with, like, a limited supply of people. She could not fight, like, a long war, and eventually she was defeated. It is reported that she fled to another province after the defeat and committed suicide. Now, obviously, accounts of her differ because, one, the languages are changing. Like, there's we have Chinese, and then we have it being translated into Vietnamese, and then we have it being translated into English.
Yeah.
So, and time is passing too. Like, we're getting this story almost 2,000 years later. But the first mention of her isn't until a few decades after her death. Some say, in these accounts, that she was 9 feet tall, and that her voice sounded like a temple bell, and that she could eat an absurd amount of rice and walk 500 leagues a day, which is way more than 500 miles, as the famous song goes. She was a real Amazon.
I would walk.
Okay, so it's Maximinius Thrax of Vietnamese women.
Yes, exactly. Like, they described him in a ridiculous way, and she is being described in a similar way. And I think it's because, like, they're hearing about the deeds that this person does, right? As, like, Maximus Thrax, too. And they're like, well, a normal person couldn't do this. So, like, they had to be 9 feet tall, and, like, their voice had to sound like God descending from the heavens and parting the Red Sea with a Beyblade.
Jeez.
What is interesting is that 3 centuries after her death, she was still a spiritual support for male warriors in Vietnam, and even with a Neo-Confucianism taking over Vietnam, the doctrine that says, like, women should follow men and be subservient, her memory as, like, a warrior survived. Like, even among, like, women's reputations being, like, really pushed into the mud, they were like, wow, she was, like, a strong lady, and, like, men wanted to be like her.
Vietnam was like, all women suck, except for this one lady.
Yeah, except for this one lady. So, this all being said, most of the information available about her comes from Vietnamese accounts that were written during the Ming Dynasty. So, we're talking the 1300s to the 1600s AD. So, quite a lot of time had passed, and Chinese accounts obviously do not mention her.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, she rebelled against us.
Why would you mention a great enemy, you know?
Yeah, why would you do that? So not only did she rebel pretty successfully, but she was a woman, and her legacy does live on in Vietnam with many streets and temples dedicated to her and her memory. And she also shows up in, like, a lot of Vietnamese dramas and video games and their textbooks. So, like, kids today are still learning about her and, like, her historical significance, because rebelling is a real big part of Vietnamese, like, culture.
I think it's a really big part of every culture.
It should be.
Yeah, I mean, so rebelling is an important part of... It is more important to certain cultures, I will say. Like, I think in America, we think that, like, fighting for what you want is how you get freedom, right? It's important to us, because, like, that's how the country was founded.
Yeah.
But it's not as important to, say, England.
No.
Because England has always been very, at least, like, the core of England. I'm not talking about Ireland or Scotland. England itself is like, rebellion happens when your colonies want to leave.
Yeah.
But Vietnam was founded based on rebellion.
Yeah, fair enough.
So it's important to them as well.
I get that.
I do get what you say. Like, every culture has its fair share of rebellion, but it is more important to certain ones than it is to others.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's a good point. A good point well made.
But, thanks. I thought about it.
I'm glad someone
I put
did.
my old mushroom thinking cap on. I sat out in the woods for a little bit. And I said, I'm going to think about this.
That's great.
Thanks.
All right.
Are we done talking
All
about
right.
the 3-footed booby lady?
I think so.
I mean, you can think about
I
her.
will-
She'll
I
always
will
live
think
on in
about
your
her.
thoughts.
But in the context of her
She-
being like
have
an
you-
eldritch abomination.
Have you guys heard that song, like, Washington,
Yeah.
Washington?
No, don't. You can't
Yeah.
sing it. It'll get stuck in my head. 6'7"
No, I'm sorry,
weight
it's
a
already-
fucking ton. Killing for
Yeah,
fun.
it's like-
killing for fun.
She was like, She was 9 foot tall and got 3 foot titties.
Fun fact,
Washington,
for some reason,
Washington.
the first time I heard that Washington story, it did give me, or that song, it gave me like a very specific Washington-based nightmare.
Good.
Where he
Washington should be part of your nightmares
where
if
he
he's
was
6'7",
just a
weighing a
giant
fucking
man.
ton.
So anyways, I'm gonna get started. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's cool with me, man.
Friends
Yeah.
and countrymen. And, like, the people who listen to us from other countries as well. Hello.
Hello.
One of my story today takes me back to one of my favorite segments, which is Wonderful Women of History. I know that I've swapped the name to, like, Weird Women of History or Wonderful Weird Women of History or whatever. But tonight, it's just wonderful. Because we're talking about a woman by the name of Mary Patton, who was a ship captain.
Ooh.
And I'm going to tell you that story. And if all of this has felt like a kid in high school trying to extend the word count on an essay, that's exactly how it was supposed to sound, so I did it right. In the year of our Lord 1853... a 16-year-old Mary Ann Brown married a gentleman by the name of Joshua Patton, who happened to be 25. The pair met while Joshua was a ship captain ferrying cargo, sorry. I almost said carrying Fargo, but that's
not how that works.
That's not how words work. In 1854, Joshua was given the command of a clipper called Neptune's Car, and as he was recently married, he did not want to abandon his wife, and so he got special permission to bring her along. And while they were on this voyage, Joshua taught Mary everything he knew about piloting a vessel and navigating a craft and all that good shit. We smash cut to July 1st in 1856, and Joshua and Mary are getting ready to head out on another voyage. And to make this voyage a little bit spicy, Joshua decides that he's going to challenge 2 other clippers to a race.
Hell yeah.
The other 2 vessels were the Intrepid, which had a day's head start on him, and the Romance of the Seas, which sounds like an erotic cruise ship for old people, but we don't have to talk about that right now. Or ever, actually.
Yeah, let's never bring that up again, please and thank you.
Unfortunately, Joshua's first mate got injured, but the company that he worked for was not willing to wait for his first mate to get healthy and return. And they also weren't willing to delay the launch of the boat. And so they replaced his typical first mate with a gentleman by the name of Mr. Keeler. I don't remember in my research if this man was given a first name, and I don't care.
I don't care.
I did the bare minimum.
You know, that's
of
how
research.
I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start referring, like, when people are just, like, giving me attitude, I'm gonna be like, no, I
don't care.
I don't, no.
I'm not interested.
No, I'm not here for it.
I'll stop you right there before you get all huffy. I'm not interested.
Before you get on a roll, let me just stop you.
Hey, I know that you're building up
please.
steam to be upset, but I need you to know
But
I don't care.
yeah, it's like, have you ever seen someone release the steam off of an Instapot? That's what I'm doing right now. I'll stop you
I
right
don't
there.
care.
Also, is one of you filing your nails or
I'm
scratching
scratching
yourself?
my arms like crazy.
Don't.
Zach.
So bad for sound. So bad
Zach.
for sound.
I don't
Yes.
know if I mentioned this, and I know that I did, actually, but I got eaten alive by bugs the other night, and so my arms are very itchy. And I'm sorry that it's bad for sound, but also
So bad for sound.
itchy.
Okay.
I can't even hear it.
I can.
Zach has,
and I know
like,
it's being
mega
picked up on the
attuned-
recording.
Zach has mega attuned ears for this shit because he has to edit it later. I'll do my best to stop. But it's itchy. So anyways.
But it's itchy.
But itchy. So they find, the company finds a replacement by the name of Mr. Keeler. They hire him, and the ship is sent underway. And unsurprisingly, a few days out to sea, it turns out that Mr. Keeler is a lazy piece of shit. And he's caught multiple times by Josh Patton sleeping on the job. And, is therefore eventually put in the brig for dereliction of duties.
Makes sense.
This leads to a problem, though, because the second mate on the Neptune's car was not good at navigation, and it left Joshua having to pull long hours just to make sure that, you know, the ship could run. He ended up staying awake for 8 days straight before collapsing on the deck. And then he was carried below. And I know that I told you guys that I was telling a story about Mary Patton. I just set the stage for, like, her role in this. And so now that the stage is set, here enters, stage left, our hero. So Mary does her best to care for her husband, and all the while she's down trying to take care of the ship captain, she's scouring the ship's medical journals to see if she can find an appropriate treatment for her husband's fever. But after a week...
It's always willow bark.
What's that?
It's always willow bark.
It's always willow bark.
The difficulty with that is that they were actively out to sea.
Oh, well, then it's sea bream. I don't know. Catch a fish. Put it on his face.
I don't think that they were going to find willow bark whilst...
We don't know what the ship is made of.
That's true. It could have been made entirely of a willow tree that was actively producing bark.
Check the records.
Check the records.
Check the records. The ship's logs.
Check the ship's logs. That's it could have a double meaning. So after a week of her taking care of her husband, she receives a letter from the first mate, Mr. Keeler, and he basically says, "We've got some rough seas ahead. Let me out and I'll pilot the ship." And her response, essentially, to paraphrase, is, "My hubby didn't trust you, so I'm not gonna."
Fuck yeah. Stick by your man, girly.
I think her actual response obviously wasn't like, "My hubby didn't trust you," but it was like, "The captain of the ship has deemed you unworthy of, like, your role, so why would I
Bruh, I caught you passed out.
Less?
He caught you passed out. We all caught you passed out. Why am I going to let you pass out at the ship? Jesus, take the helm of this ship, because you sure as shit ain't gonna."
So, Mr. Keeler down in the brig was not happy with this response, and essentially every time a member of the crew tried to came down to feed and water him, like the little
plant
caged rabbit he was, he tried to inspire
like a little
mutiny.
Bun. Oh, casual.
So, like, essentially every guy that came down, he'd be like, "Hey, isn't this Mary girl such a bitch?"
Hey, have you ever, like, considered mutiny? Why is that me at work, though? I'm like, I go around and I'm like, "Hey,
have you thought about quitting?
How do you feel?" Yeah, kind of. I'm just like, "Hey, like, I just don't think you're being treated fairly."
I absolutely love that energy.
I'm like, so, like, how do you feel about your supervisor?
I love it.
So anyways, Mary hears about these rumors of a mutiny, and what she decides to do is she assembles the entire crew on deck. Obviously, she leaves the rabbit in its cage. And again, she basically says, and I'm paraphrasing, I know shit's bad, but have faith in me. And the entire crew is just like, yeah, we got you. Go off, sis. And so at the age of 19, at the tender age of 19, Mary becomes the first female to command a merchant vessel. And she did so for the next 50 days, with very little rest. And in my research and in my notes, it also mentions that she barely changed clothes. But the real cool thing about this that I've been hiding beneath this cloak is that she was secretly pregnant the entire time.
Fuck.
Secretly.
Up until the point where she couldn't hide the fact that she was pregnant anymore. But yeah, she, stared down a mutiny while she was pregnant. She also...
Damn,
she
you
gets
go, girl.
She gets into, a serious bit of bad weather and decides to navigate off the course that was charted for her to get out of the storm. And then after getting them out of the storm, managed to get them back on course using the skills that she had been taught by Joshua. And then at a certain point in their journey, and I can't remember exactly what the name of the place was because I don't want to Google it right now, she ended up having to go, toe-to-toe with some icebergs.
Oh, damn.
And it led to her staying up for 4 days and nights just to make sure that the vessel could navigate the icebergs effectively.
Wow, I can't believe she navigated the icebergs better than the captain of the Titanic.
Yeah.
Well, at least she
the captain
listens
of the
to people.
Titanic also just, went full steam ahead towards the icebergs.
Yeah.
Again, better. Yeah, she navigated them better.
If the captain of
Than
the
the captain of the
Titanic had done a
Titanic.
little bit of Han Solo's special moves, i.e. drifting slightly to the left, it would have been fine.
Oh, so if he Tokyo drifted around the icebergs?
Slightly drifted to the left. I didn't say fucking, Tokyo drifted, you know?
No. Think about it.
Tokyo
It.
drift.
He goes full steam ahead.
Yeah, it
he
would have
goes
been
full
pretty
steam
dope
ahead.
if the Titanic did a power slide. Yes, absolutely.
Do you think that's what Mary did? Do you think she
Probably.
could Tokyo drift a
I
ship?
think she
Absolutely.
was Tokyo drifting a little bit.
Just only a little bit?
A
How do
smidgen.
you how do you little bit Tokyo drift a ship?
Just
I feel
a
like it's something
smack
you
roll
full
of
commit
Tokyo
to.
drifting.
A little bit of Tokyo drifting.
Do you think she had NOS on
I
her
believe
ship?
so.
Okay, that's what the ship's logs are
But
saying.
Mary gets her crew safe and sound to San Francisco. They had departed from New York, if I remember correctly.
Nice.
And she gets there on November 15th of 1856. And she
Out of
almost
curi-
immediately becomes a celebrity in San Francisco. The company that insured Neptune's car for this journey gave her $1,000 and then gets dragged by the local San Francisco newspaper, where they were like,
Damn.
you could have given her way more money. What I wish... See, when I was, first writing this, I was like, I don't want to quote too much from the source that I'm writing from, but I wish I had the, actual quote. Because the quote was something phenomenal, where you can fucking pay X number of dollars, you give this heroine, 1,000. A pittance.
Yeah.
Is I think the word they used. But, But anyways, Mary is far too concerned with getting her husband to a hospital because he is still unwell at the time of their docking. But during the time that Mary is taking care of her husband in hospital, the boat gets a new captain and is asked to go back towards the East Coast. And then in January of 1857, Joshua and Mary begin their trip back to Boston, which is where they lived. So they got seats on they got seats on like a passenger vessel. Mary eventually ended up giving birth, I think, in March, if my notes are correct, and I assume they are, because I wrote them when I was, reading an article about this. However, unfortunately, Joshua's condition never improved. He was blind and deaf. Upon his blind, deaf, and delirious is what I have in my notes. And so he died of tuberculosis in July of 1857.
Damn, the consumption got him.
Tuberculosis strikes again.
He was consumed. And then Mary
Do you think
and
he was
her
hot,
son,
though?
Joshua Patton Jr., lived with her mother until she also got consumed in 1861 at the ripe old age of 24.
Damn.
But
Well, that sucks.
but she was the first ever lady ship captain in America.
Fuck yeah. Good
Born
for
in
her.
Chelsea, Massachusetts. Good for her.
She was born in Chelsea?
Yeah.
Nice.
Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Massachusetts. But yeah, so that's
Yeah,
my
they
story
got.
about Mary
I guess they got
Patton.
married in Boston too.
I love it.
I also loved it, which
I know.
is why I decided to report about it.
So she makes this voyage from.
New York
She
to San
makes this
Francisco.
voyage from New York to San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
So and the Panama Canal wasn't a thing
Right.
yet.
Nope.
So she goes all the way around.
Around the horn.
Damn.
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah, she went the whole dang way.
Yeah, because like
whole
while
dang
you were
dang
telling
way.
your story, I was like, wait, when was the Panama Canal built? I was like, was it in the process? And it was not in the process of being built. They hadn't even
It wasn't
thought
even
about this canal.
a twinkle in someone's eye yet.
Damn.
A twinkle in the canal god's eye.
But I love that, but I'm going to steal the microphone now.
Do it.
To do
Please
my
steal the
off, sis.
microphone.
because funnily enough, there's two tie-ins because my story tonight has to do with Massachusetts, sailing, and there's a sprinkle of boobs in there too.
3-foot boobs?
Oh my god. Our stories are truly connected through Massachusetts and boobs.
Through tits in Massachusetts, we are one.
Yeah.
Going back to my insane intro where I told everyone that shenanigans are the only thing allowed, you fucking landlubbers. Once again, we are going to return to some pirate plundering and also, for the first time in a long time, a heinous gentleman of history. Now, a little while back, I believe that either Matt or myself, or both of us, mentioned one Black Sam Bellamy.
That was me.
That was you, I remember that because of the boy pirate.
Yeah, the boy pirate.
The little tiny boy pirate. I believe I've also mentioned Sam Bellamy in my other pirating outings, but I know at least one of us had mentioned him. And today I am here to lay claim on this wild gentleman thief and privateer. So let us start our story where most, but not all stories begin. The beginning. Our boy Sam is born in 1689 in Devon, England, not to be confused with Devon's, Massachusetts, but he kind of gets there later. Sam is born and grows up as the youngest of 6 children. His mother dies like 3 weeks after he's born, which, like, oops, sucks for Mama Bellamy, I guess.
Well, I mean, classic.
Yeah,
moms are always peacing
Classic
out.
died in childbirth.
It's the 1680s. Classic died in childbirth, for sure. Sam Bellamy joins the Royal Navy in his early teens, saying, fuck it, I can tie a knot and stab a man to death, I might as well do it for a living. And our story picks up through in 1715, where Sam sails his way all the way to Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And he starts his time in Cape Cod with a ripping start by having an affair with a woman who is known as the Witch of Wellfleet.
Nice.
That is how I want to be known.
I mean, same, right? Like, I think it's great. Like, he gets there, he's in his early, like, 20s, and he's like, how am I going to start my time in the colony? I'm gonna have sex with a sea witch.
Yes.
Like, look, if you want good weather and good plundering, fuck a sea witch. I think that's all there is to it.
Just like Ponyo's dad.
Who?
And Ponyo.
Ponyo's dad and Ponyo fucked a sea witch.
I don't know Ponyo.
Man, you gotta fix this problem.
You gotta
Okay.
get on the Hayao Miyazaki train.
We're gonna pause the podcast so that Zach can go watch Ponyo.
You can watch the 2.5 hour Ponyo movie.
I gotta be honest with you, Ponyo was a fucking wild ride. Especially because, like,
all of them are.
The fate of these 2 young children is supposed to decide, like, the world.
This is one of the Studio Ghibli movies I have not seen.
What
all right.
the fuck?
All right, I'll fix that fucking problem. Jeez. I digress.
Fix it right now.
No, we digressed for you.
I want you to fix this problem.
I will
right
fix
now.
it. Don't worry. I can't right now. It's fucking 10 o'clock.
Yep.
And we're in the middle of the podcast.
I think my favorite thing about this affair, though,
I don't make the rules.
getting back on track. I think my favorite thing about this affair that he had with the Witch of Wellfleet is that no one actually knows the age of the Witch of Wellfleet. Some say she was a busty and beauty woman of 19, and others say she was a busty and beautiful woman well beyond ancient. Either way, whatever floats your boat.
That's not an age. That's an era.
Yeah. But yeah, whatever floats your boat, if you know what I mean.
I don't know, dude. She's either 19 or ancient. There's, like, no in between.
No in between.
That sounds like
mid-40s, forget about it. Yeah, exactly.
Like,
she's definitely a sea witch.
They lure you in by looking like a young woman, and then by the time that you've slept with them, it's like the worst hangover look ever.
How many sea witches have you fucked, Matt?
Look, Zach, I don't need to tell you my body count of sea witches, okay?
We know Matt has a type now, and it's sea witches.
Hey,
That's
I didn't
true.
say they were my type. I'm just saying, you don't get to know how many sea witches I've fucked.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I fucked many.
You count them on one hand.
No.
Not even 2 hands and 2 feet.
2 toes.
Listen, I'm also a sea witch, so...
Well, then it makes
Either
sense.
way, Sam says, well, I need to make some money now, don't I? Because capitalism still sucked even back in the golden age of piracy. And so Sam leaves Cape Cod with a group of men, and their mission is, 1, to find the 1715 Spanish treasure fleet, which was 2 ships laden with gold that sunk off the east coast of Florida. I also want to mention that I did not capitalize Florida in my notes because I don't think they deserve to be a proper noun.
That's fair.
So, the treasure hunt goes tits up real quick as no treasure is found. It's a treasure hunt. Unless you're, someone in a movie, it usually goes bad. And the crew's like, well, what are we going to do? We had this mission, we funded it, and now we're broke. How do we fix this? And the answer, of course, is piracy, because it's always piracy.
The answer is always piracy.
I mean, yeah, the answer is rebellion with big titties, mutiny with your pregnant titties,
Yeah.
or piracy
With titties.
Titties.
with titties.
The answer is always titties.
I don't make the rules. I just say whatever you're doing has to go against the government with titties.
And have titties.
Yes.
And have titties.
So, Captain Benjamin Hornigold and First Mate
Hornigold,
yes. And First Mate Edward Teach, yes, that black-bearded boy Edward Teach,
Blackbeard!
starts the crew as pirates. And they do this for a little bit, but it doesn't really go so well because good old Captain Benny Boy refuses to attack English ships because he's English.
Fucking
Which,
Ben.
when you're a
He's just
pirate,
like-
I feel like you can't be that discerning.
Except
especially
he
a broke
was.
pirate.
Well, so here's the thing. Like, you can steal from the French, you can steal from the Spanish, but stealing from the English, if you're English, well, we have lines.
Well, first
off,
off,
we're gentlemen.
you forgot the Dutch, and second off,
Yeah, fuck the Dutch. I forgot.
fuck the Dutch. But, also, you're broke. You're gonna attack whoever is closest and whoever has the most gold. And honestly, that's fucking England. It's the English Empire right now. Fuck them. And I say fuck them, and so doesn't the rest of the crew, because they oust Captain Hornigold and say, fuck it, you're not captain anymore because you don't have the balls to attack English ships.
Look at me. I am the
I am the
captain
captain
because
now.
I have the balls.
Because I have the balls.
the English balls.
And so they do oust him without bloodshed. They're pirates, not animals. And so Hornigold, a few loyal men, including Teach, and they all leave the ship, and Sam is made the new captain. And very soon after he is captain, he captures the Sultana, which is another ship, and he makes a fleet. And that's really good because if you're trying to attack one ship with two ships, well, two ships are better than one. And in 1770...
Unless you have...
Unless what?
Unless you're fighting... Unless you have, one of those big iron ships, right, with the cannons.
Like an Ironside, yeah.
You have... Yeah, you have an Ironside, and then someone has two canoes.
Just two sloops.
Yeah, we just, we really have to judge what the one ship is,
okay,
right?
they were both
the one
two
ring.
galleys. That's good.
Okay, yeah. It feels more even now.
Yes. In 1717, Sam gets his best catch yet as he creeps up on Cuba and spots the Whydah Galley, which is this huge 102-foot-long slave ship that has 18 guns and a max speed of 15 miles an hour. Which I know does not seem like a lot, but the average galley speed back then was 5 knots, which is just shy of 6 miles an hour. So
God
boy,
damn.
I was
howdy
gonna be like,
was this 102-foot-long
dude, that could be
ship
anything.
fast.
People say knots. I'll read that in books.
Yeah.
Sometimes, this ship was going 10 knots an hour, and I'm like, that could be anything.
Yeah, so
That could be the ship igniting the NOS.
5 knots is 5.7 miles an hour, I believe. So
is a knot slightly more than a mile?
yes. So, yeah, it's...
But not by a lot.
But not by a
by a
lot. So,
ton.
I think it's 12 knots is about 15 miles an hour. So,
12 knots, okay.
So, 12 compared to 5 is a whole lot better. So, the Whydah is on its maiden voyage, and it just unloaded a bunch of slaves for trade. And so it was loaded with gold, ivory, indigo, and a bunch of other delectable trade goods. And Sam chases the Whydah galley for 3 days straight until he can get close enough to fire shots at it. And after one shot hits the Whydah, the captain of the Whydah surrenders, because Sam Bellamy's reputation preceded him. However, along with a fearsome reputation that only took one shot to instill fear with, Sam was also known for being very generous, because Sam didn't go around just stealing ships. Sam would trade up ships. He would basically be like, hey, you've clearly lost this. I'll give you my old ship, but I'm taking your ship and all of its contents.
Yeah, I mean, that's what a pirate does. That has balls.
Yeah, it was a pirate, but, a nice little pirate. So Sam takes
Yeah.
the Wida and all of its cargo and leaves the former captain with the Sultana, and he just sails away, saying, fuck it, I got a bigger, better, faster ship now.
The Wida was the ship that the boy pirate was on.
Yes. I do remember that. He also proceeds to remove the captain's quarters from the Wida, not because he is not a vain man, but because he wants to add 10 more cannons to give the ship 28 guns now, which is an obscene amount of guns.
It's a good amount of guns for sure.
A good amount of guns for sure, considering I think most galleys had like 8.
Yeah, he's like, I don't need a place to sleep. Give me more guns.
More guns. I'll sleep with the crew. More guns.
Why is that? Why is that like most people in New Hampshire? They're just like, this is the gun room. It used to be the second bedroom, but
It's the
Used to be
gun
our
room now.
guest
We said,
room,
"Fuck
but
it."
here's the guns.
yeah, this used to be the guest room, but then I bought more guns and I realized I lost all my friends.
And
so I don't have guests anymore.
But I got guns.
I do have guns.
But Sam was also known to be a very good leader. Command on his ship was said to be almost democratic, to the point where his crew referred to him as the Robin Hood of the sea. He was also said to be, with that reputation of being fearsome but also generous, he was said to be tall and well-spoken, and also extremely neat. Like, he was always clean despite being the captain of a pirate ship. And he always wore the most expensive clothing. He had this long sash that he would always wear to hold his coveted dueling pistols. And sadly, Sam and eventually the boy pirate don't really get to enjoy the new ship Wida for as long as he probably would have liked, because in April of 1717, the Wida is swept up into violent nor'easter and driven into a sandbar off the coast of Massachusetts, and it sinks the whole vessel, taking all but 2 of the 146-man crew with it. So everybody, including Sam Bellamy, minus 2 guys, dies in one night. And you would think that is where the story ends.
No, I don't think that's where the story ends. It never just ends with death sometimes.
No. Because as Matt knows, they eventually found the Wida in July of 1984. They successfully discovered the Wida and announced that to the public.
The Return of the King.
Return of the King. Actually, it is the first authenticated pirate ship to be found in North America. So yeah, Return of the King.
Oh, that's dope.
And
Truly the Return of the King.
not only did they find the bones of a small boy, but they also found the treasure on board.
Bones of a small boy. Oh, God.
The treasure when the Wida was sunk was the largest amount of treasure ever captured in the golden age of piracy, weighing roughly 5 tons.
Jesus Christ, that's like
Yeah, but five
5
tons
cannons.
of what?
So that included 9,000 pounds of silver, which just the 9,000 pounds of silver today alone would be worth $2.7 million. So not even half a ton is worth $2.7 million.
That's crazy.
So there's a lot of fucking stuff on that boat. But yes, that is Black Sam Bellamy, who is known as the Robin Hood of pirates, one of the greatest pirates of the golden age of piracy, who was fancy dresser, a fast talker, and also died way too soon.
And a keeper of children pirates.
And a keeper of children pirates, yes.
Or just one child
Okay.
pirate.
Just one child pirate. But, like, hey, that's one more than anyone else has got.
That's true. If there was a collection of child pirates, he'd be the only one.
He'd be the only one. But that's it. That's my story.
That's crazy.
Let's go on.
It's a good story.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I tried.
And we got
I
to
can't-
use old knowledge.
Yeah.
Got to use old
We got to use knowledge that we already had hints of. Okay,
Yeah,
so we've
because
come
like
to the part
you
in the
mix in your
podcast
story.
where I begin
Yeah.
to do an outro and Zach interrupts me to talk about our socials. Well, there it is.
I figured that was the best way to interrupt you.
It's definitely not the best way.
Folks, thank you so much for listening to our podcast. And if you haven't had a chance to head on over to iTunes or Spotify to give us a rating and review, you should do that. We like to see all of the wonderful reasons why you may or may like this podcast. I'd say may not. I don't want to hear why you don't like it. I only want to hear why you like it. Give me validation. I need it.
I only want to hear good things.
I only want to hear the good things. But yes, if you find us on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, you can give us a rating and review there. It helps bump us up the charts, making it so I have to bug you less about doing the things. Also, share it with a friend. Word of mouth is how we actually, spread the news of this stuff. So we'd appreciate it if you helped. If you also want to follow us on our socials, you can find us on Facebook or you can find us on Instagram at _triumvirate_productions. You can also find us on Patreon. If you look up patreon.com/triumvirate productions. There you can join us as a Patreon and get extra little bonuses. We have a $3, a $5, and a $10 level. $10 patrons get all of episodes a day early, and you get unedited episodes. $5 patrons get What the Fuck After Dark, which is our after show, and a couple of other fun little bonuses. Plus, you get to join a fun community of people who like to just see stupid stuff from us and hear a little bit more about our personal lives. So, if you can support us monetarily, we appreciate it. If you can't, hey, we get it. We're broke too. And with that, I'll turn it over to Matt.
I have but one more thing to say, and it is this. What the fuck, history?